here are today's results. So for junior quiz toppers list, Kanak Sangvi, Parvesh, Pranvi, Parth, Maitreya, Sukhmanpreet, Chirag, Krishna, Akhilesh, Vidushi, Shwetna, Rohit, Rashi, Sanvi, Tanisha, Gabriel, Varsha, Pratyush, Indu, Ayush, Srinidhi, Nitya, Janvi, Ishan Ghosh. Congratulations for being today's winners of the second quiz. Middle group quiz toppers list. Niranjani, Nandini, Aditya, MD Cav, Grayson, Shravya, Ashish, Neha, Kimberly, Junaid, Minal, Divya. Congratulations for winning the middle group quiz. And senior quiz, of course, we had really large number of participants and large entries. Only the perfect scores were selected as the top winners. So Raksha, Renuka, Suryadeep, Hardik, Anjali, Hamda, Janvi, Srijan, Devabrata, Kritika, Tanisha, Amit, Lipika, Akshay, Soumya, Ramya, Tripti, Sai Rohit, Nakulan, Udit, Rishav, Prayas, Kashish, Sanjana, Som Shubra, Pratibha, Rituraj, Ranjana, Rajendra, Sampati Majumdar. All right, congratulations everyone for playing very well and being today's winner for the second quiz, right? So now let's look at how people have performed in the second science competition, which was for the giving you some idea that what your future project could be about. So some hypothetical projects. I'll first start with the junior and middle group students and going to play their videos.
Good afternoon to all. The topic of main study is the investigation of molecular mechanism of gender-based diverse outcome in COVID-19. As we know, India is facing the second wave of COVID-19. It has been noted that though the COVID-19 affects both genders, disease progression to severe lung complication and death is more observed in males. This leads to my research question, whether the male hormone testosterone is a promoter of COVID-19 disease and what is the molecular mechanism behind this bias. Studies also show the ACE2 receptor is a constant product of adult platelet cells, showing the possible relation of the male hormones with COVID-19. For this purpose, first we would initiate data collection from the hospital medical records, and we will conduct an in vitro study by treating the lung epithelial cells, either with testosterone or estrogen, and analyze the inflammatory gene expression. This will be followed by an in silico identification study of ACE2 inhibitors and molecular docking studies. Thank you.
Everything about the ocean is so cool. Right? In the 1980s, a scientist named John Parks, he had a crazy idea and said that there's a vast, deep microbial biosphere deep within the ocean. Now, this has proven to be true because we have found billions of such microbes. And these microbes, they require only 1 zettawatt of power to survive, and they take centuries, if not thousands of years to divide. Now, this would be the basis of my hypothesis. I propose we could sequence the DNA of these microbes, and we could find the part of their genome that is responsible for this prolonged cell division, and using genetic engineering could infuse that in cancer cells. This would prolong the division of cancer cells, and in human terms, because we live such smaller lives as compared to these microbes, this could be equivalent to stopping the cell growth of cancer cells altogether. It is crazy how such far areas of biology are related. This could be the cure of cancer. Thank you.
The aim of this activity is to increase the waking hours of humans. Hypothesis: to prove that sleeping hours can be reduced without compromising the efficiency. The objective is to increase the efficiency of humans. Methodology: first step, identify the processes taking place in the brain during the sleeping and waking hours. 2. Identify the processes that make sleep beneficial and find out if these processes can be recreated. 3. Identify a chemical which will recreate these processes. 4. In vitro and in vivo studies. Expected outcome: sleeping hours will be optimized and waking hours will increase without compromising the skill to do complex tasks.
Hi, my name is Parvesh Lavanya from Gateway the Complete School, grade 10. and I have designed an experiment to understand the toxicity of indoor pollutants. Indoor pollutants and particulate matter affect our respiratory system. Common effects are asthma, cough, and allergies. Common indoor pollutants are asbestos, formaldehyde from wood and furniture, NO2 and CO from cooking gas, and other volatile organic substances. As we know, lichens are good indicators of pollutants. My experiment is to take a sample of lichen and place them in an environment containing those pollutants and place the presence of that particular pollutant. And my expected outcome is that the lichens would die in presence of these pollutants.
Drug repurposing-based strategy to fight SARS-CoV-2. Hypothesis. Identification of potential drug candidates against SARS-CoV-2 from the drugs that are already FDA approved or in clinical trials. Objectives of my project. Identification of the host target proteins from the literature or from the proteomics analysis. Creating the drug library of potential candidates. In silico molecular docking of target proteins with the drug library. Post-docking analysis and selecting the repurposing drug. Methodology. Methodology schematic workflow is shown here. Possible outcomes of my project. Identification of potential drug candidates to target SARS-CoV-2. Multiple proteins regulating SARS-CoV-2 infection can be targeted using one drug.
I'm interested in pursuing biotechnology, and I eventually want to be a biotech entrepreneur. So my biological idea, which I want to pursue, my idea for this competition is mycelium-based technology. So basically, when the hyphae of mycelium, which is engineered in labs, so it's mixed with agricultural waste and root-like structures are allowed to form. And now this is shaped in the molds, and this can be used in packaging instead of normal polystyrene, which pollutes the environment. So I feel this should be implemented at least at a small scale level for smaller industries, and then we can eventually move on to the bigger industries. So the main advantage includes its biodegradable nature, its flame resistance, and its temperature resistant, and it's been implemented in many of the Western countries. And in India, if it was implemented, I feel it would make a big difference.
All right, so we'll play now the senior group different videos.
My topic for today is nanotechnology in cancer treatment. Now, why nanotechnology in cancer treatment? Nanoscale devices are 100 to 100,000 times smaller than human cells, but they are similar in size to large biomolecules such as enzymes and receptors. Nanoscale devices in the range 20 to 50 nanometers can easily move out of the blood vessels as they circulate through the body and help in specific targeting and localized drug delivery. Nano devices can be hybrids that directly interact with the DNA and proteins. Nano devices such as nanorods, nanocantilevers are already in use, but they are not as popular. Nanoshells have a core of silica and a metal outer layer. They can preferentially concentrate in cancer lesion sites through enhanced permeation retention. A near-infrared laser illuminates the tissue, and the light will be absorbed by the nanoshells to generate an intense heat that destroys only the cancer cells without damaging the surrounding healthy cells. If nanoparticles are attached to chemotherapeutic drugs, they can traverse the blood-brain barrier easily and help cure brain tumor. This gives a lot of scope of nanotechnology in the field of cancer treatment.
Hello, I am Aditya Girish, studying medical nanotechnology at Shastra University, Tanjavur. As part of the second competition for the summer camp, I would like to put forth my proposal. So today we face a lot of untreatable diseases like cancer, Alzheimer's, Huntington's, etc. And that is mostly because the neural tissues that are damaged in the process, they can't be regenerated by any mitotic divisions that the way the other cells do. And this is because unlike other cells, neurons lack the presence of centrioles, which actually aid in cell division. So my idea is to genetically engineer these neuronal tissue cells to synthesize centrioles, just like any other cell, and then expose them to mitosis promoting factors like cyclin and CDK complexes, and actually see what happens and if they can indeed start regenerating. I'm not sure about the result, but if it does yield some positive results, we might be looking at a potential cure for neurodegenerative diseases. Thank you.
Hello there, this is Ajay Pawan, and I'm doing my second year BTech Bioengineering at Shastra University, Tanjavur. And I would like to put up my proposal for the second competition in the summer camp. And my proposal is oncology based. In recent years, it has been discovered that adipose tissues help in cancer progression. This is because cancer cells are able to utilize the energy provided in the fat cells in these tissues. So I was thinking, if we somehow inhibit cancer cells from utilizing the energy provided by these fat cells, especially at lipid resources in our body, such as bone marrow, which is not just a lipid resource, but is also involved in cellular production of blood, we could somehow bring down the proliferation or metastasis rates of cancer. If it does yield a positive outcome, then treating cancer becomes a whole lot easier than it is now. We can use stem cell research or in fact use animal experiments to carry out this experiment.
I would like to pursue is to study the effect of beta blockers on Daphnia magna exposed to caffeine. Beta blockers are commonly used medications for anxiety, and they relieve anxiety by blocking physical symptoms like increased heart rate. I wanted to use caffeine to simulate the increased heart rate in Daphnia. The objective of the project would be to compare different beta blockers available on the market and time them to see which one brings the heart rate back to normal faster, and also test how effective they are in the presence of caffeine, as many people do consume caffeine. The first simulation would be that Daphnia can be extracted from the caffeine solution, and once the heart rate rises, it's removed from the caffeine solution and added to the solution with beta blockers. Second simulation would be to add beta blockers directly to the slide with Daphnia plus caffeine. This could help simulate how effective the beta blocker is when caffeine is in the system. I expect simulation 1 to work better than simulation 2. This could help me conclude that caffeine slows down the effect of beta blockers on anxiety and maybe even hypertension, and compare different available beta blockers.
I'm Deepika, and I'm doing MSc Biotechnology in the University of Madras. This is my project idea, which I would like to pursue. That is, targeted drug delivery for cancer treatment using Aptamer conjugated with doxorubicin nanocarriers. Most of the chemotherapies are associated with the side effects. Therefore, targeted drug delivery is essential to protect normal cells while destroying the cancer cells. Aptamers are short, single-stranded DNA or RNA that can effectively bind to a specific target, including protein, carbohydrates, lipids, or even live cells. Doxorubicin is a drug that inhibits the activity of topoisomerase and prevents the growth of cancer cells. My hypothesis are aptamers are to be conjugated with nanocarriers. Drugs are covalently attached to the nanocarrier aptamer complex. When this complex is introduced, aptamer will react with the tumor-associated antigen and in turn opens the barrel and the drugs are released. Therefore, specificity and bioavailability are increased. So these are the methodology, which includes development of aptamer conjugation, drug aptamer conjugate loading on nanoparticles, studying the efficacy, selection and screening, and finally clinical trials. My expected outcomes are increasing the bioavailability while decreasing the cytotoxicity. Thank you.
Glad to introduce myself to you. I'm Danya K. According to my knowledge, vaccine for COVID-19 should be made from coronavirus by inactivating the gene responsible for causing the disease. The methodology includes a vector and a target gene. By considering the restriction enzyme as A star and target site as A square, when we use the A star restriction enzyme on the target site A square, the target site would be disturbed and goes to inactivation state. When this inactivated virus is injected inside the host, the immunity system of the host fight against that foreign particle. Meanwhile, the viral particle stays in the inactivated state. The host's immunity system destroys the viral particle and stores the antibody used in the memory cells. The expected outcome is that the vaccinated virus would be killed by the immunity system and the antibody used would be stored in the memory cells. The next time when the coronavirus enters the body, it destroys the virus using the antibody which was used before with the help of the memory cells. Thank you.
Waste generated at hospitals, pharmaceutical industries like syringes, gloves, drugs, chemicals, half-used bottles are generally segregated manually, which is extremely time-consuming. Moreover, it is very harmful and fatal.
topic is basically gut microbiome. बहुत चीजों के साथ रिलेटेड है, उससे मतलब कहीं ना कहीं एजेंसी के साथ भी रिलेटेड है और बहुत सारे बैक्टीरिया जिसमें गट माइक्रोबायोम इन्वॉल्व होता है. तो बेसिकली गट माइक्रोबायोम रेफर्स टू टोटल ऑफ माइक्रोबायोम प्रेजेंट इन द ह्यूमन गैस्ट्रोइंटेस्टाइनल ट्रैक्ट और इसके बहुत से रोल्स हैं. वो इन बहुत सी चीजों में ये अपने रोल्स दिखाते हैं और ये फैक्टर्स हैं जो इसको इफेक्ट करते हैं गट माइक्रोबायोम को और हर एक स्टेज पे अलग अलग माइक्रोबायोम माइक्रोऑर्गेनिज्म प्रेजेंट होते हैं. So meteorology, basically first we will search literature to find various microbes present in gut microbiome. Then we will go for we will search data related to microbiome found by searching literature, and then going through various functioning activities done by that microbiome, and then we will relate its function with human body and see which body part is involved in that function. We will retrieve structure, sequence, protein, protein through which we can find its active sites and which molecules find it, and we'll find which binding molecules is present in the microbiome related with human molecules, and then we will interpret. Thank you. Basically, my topic is how gut microbiome is related to aging.
Hello everyone, my name is Dharin Ravya and my hypothesis is about peptide vaccine development against HIV. Human immunodeficiency virus causes AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. HIV infects our CD4 positive lymphocytes, so it decreases our immunity, and therefore it is important to make a preventive vaccine against it. And there have been several approaches like mRNA vaccines and attenuated vaccine, but all the drawbacks are that they cannot last for a long-term period because of the mutative nature of the virus. Our immune system produces broadly neutralizing antibodies against HIV, but by the time they are matured, the virus is already mutated, but that's where the peptide vaccines help. Developing broad range of epitopes with the help of recombinant technologies and using them as vaccines would trigger the BNABs, and by the time the virus attacks, BNABs might be matured and mutated enough to elicit the virus. This approach can be faster, more specific, and efficient. Thank you.
Hello, sir. My idea that I would like to pursue is to make a recombinant bacteria using the RDT techniques to combine both the effects of our current anaerobic bacteria that is present in the biogas digesters and the newly synthesized bacteria and the enzyme called PETcase enzyme that was found in Japan 2 to 3 years back. Combining these two would provide us a one-stop solution for all of the waste and energy crisis that are present in India right now. And also, if we can integrate this bacteria to create something that can break down all the waste products that are present in our water bodies or in our municipalities, it can definitely yield a very supportive environment for India.
I am Naplan doing genetic engineering at Bar Institute of Higher Education Research. I'd like to tell you about projects that I like to perform in future and my future goals. So this beautiful image shows the bioluminescence process. So these are the organisms which produce bioluminescence process. So these are the basic concept of bioluminescence process. How I will take care of this? My main intent is to study about cancer-related genes and proteins, like how they vary from normal cells, also retinal disease like HIV, like how they modify genome and proteins. So applying bioluminescence mechanism as a reporter gene, we could able to tag the different genome and protein so that we can study the genome and protein by tagged fluorescence. So my next intent is to study about bacteriophage, whether I don't know it's possible in my ages or even in future. So my goal is to modify this bacteriophage genome in order to attack only specified cell. For instance, we could say I'm editing this genome so that it only affects tuberculosis. So by this transgenic virus, we could treat n number of diseases. My next goal is to study about CRISPR-Cas9 technology. So implanting Cas9 nuclease like protein in human cell, also CRISPR sequence in human cell, we could also treat viral diseases.
So my topic is to degrade polystyrene to industrially beneficial products. In present day scenario, since plastic is unavoidable and many plastics are made with thermostability and resistance to oxidation, they have to be degraded into useful products. So this is polystyrene. For example, if you take polystyrene is converted to styrene by pyrolysis, and after styrene is after you got styrene, styrene should be converted into useful products only by means of chemical methods or by means of enzymatic methods. So the this block diagram shows you the protocol that I have made for degrading styrene into useful products like phenyl acetate and ethylbenzene and benzoic acid. So principally, most important enzymes are styrene monoxygenase, styrene oxide isomerase, and the third enzyme is phenylacetaldehyde dehydrogenase, which can be used to convert styrene into phenyl acetate and benzoic acid and benzene diazoxime salt. And benzene diazoxime salt can be converted into many organic products. So this is the presentation. Thank you.
This presentation is about the role different obstacles can play in motor protein movements to possibly reduce Alzheimer's disease cases. Till now, it has been shown that motor proteins are involved in Alzheimer's. There is a chance that we may design obstacles to stop these motor proteins from reaching the synapse. Alzheimer's, as the most common cause of dementia affecting people financially, mentally, and emotionally, needs to be addressed. We can introduce APP-coated polystyrene beads in hippocampus cells of Octodon digus and extract these beads using centrifugation after some time. These beads, now coated with motor proteins arranged by the cells themselves, can be studied as they move across different obstacles. From this study, we can find out the obstacles that can cause their motion to stop or cause their disassembly before they reach the synapse. We can design similar obstacles artificially to reduce Alzheimer's disease cases.
Hello, sir, and my dear friends. A very good afternoon. My name is Parag Bhaveskar. So today I'm going to tell about the insight what I'm thinking about my research project. So I'm thinking about to explore the gut microbiome trilogues with microRNAs and host gene expression to treat a different disease. For example, if I'm thinking about the Alzheimer's disease. So as all us know the comorbidities due to this different disease or Alzheimer's disease have a high impact on a patient and have play a high percent. So for this comorbidities, the present line of treatment with the tangles and plaques in term of Alzheimer's disease I'm talking about is indirectly increase the what we can say the percent of the risk. Even it cause a blood pressure and there is a risk of heart attacks. So the interplay on this issue, what we are thinking to link the gut microbiome and microRNA. So as all of us knows, gut is very crucial component of the ecosystem and it hosts trillion of microbial species which play a very important role in maintaining health of the host. So this microbial species are what we can say digest a metabolite food and create to liberate a different metabolites in body. So the next is microRNAs. Why only 3% of our DNA get expressed and remaining 97% is non-transcribed, is known as non-coding RNA. So these RNAs are a very short sequence which is 18 to 25 nucleotide of this RNA called microRNA, which discriminate throughout the body to regulate the expression of various genes and which is encapsulated in vesicles. So the same atypical microRNA levels play a very important role what we can say it as a biomarker for various disease, and use of this biomarker we can think for a novel therapies and strategies to treat these different diseases. Thank you.
Hello, myself Ankaram. Now I am going to explain how we can overcome from the problem related to the electromagnetic radiation, especially the microwave emitted by the cell phone towers, and hence it has been found to be responsible for damaging eggs and nucleus of sparrows and crystal. It makes some reproductive success. Cellular phones are essential to our lives. While the cellular phones cannot be completely wiped out of our lives, at the same time, it is important to find an alternative technology. As a biologist, we have the responsibility to protect our biodiversity from electromagnetic radiation. We need to think out from the side of biology and its branches. And the idea is able to develop resistance for against the radiation by using the biotechnology and biomechanical with the help from the multidisciplinary fields of science. This is my idea. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Pinayak Chattopadhyay, Department of Botany, West Bengal State University. I want to pursue a project on protein extracrystal, means on crystallographic data of fungal proteins. Actually, we are very much conscious about plant proteins. We are very much conscious about animal proteins, human proteins, but we are very negligible about the fungal proteins. And that is why I want to pursue more on fungal proteins. Means how to look into the proteomics of fungus. Any fungus means I don't want to do it in yeast. I want to do it in macrofungi, which are often ignored by many persons. So that is why it is a huge range of interest, because very less work has been done on that topic exactly. Especially I want to do it on edible mushrooms like Agaricus bisporus or Volvarella volvacea. Thank you. Thank you very much.